1969 Mustang Mach 1. We're finishing up on the metal work so we can go ahead and do the front suspension and install the motor and transmission. Well, when this car was brought in, the hood was not bolted properly and it was all fucked up. And what it was caused from is this inside panel right here. Now, this is our apron. This is an inside apron that's on both sides, of course, and it's a situation that's pretty common on these Ford Mustangs.
Welcome to D.I.Y. Automotive School with my friend Pete and Minnie, the body shop girl. It's everything you need to know about cars and more.
And if you look right there, you can see what I'm talking about. The bolts have been ripped out of the panel. There's no way to properly adjust the hood once the hinges are on there. It's an impossible situation that says we are fucked. So the only way to fix that is to go out and purchase this panel right here, which is an aftermarket replacement panel. And when I say aftermarket, I'm talking very cheaply inexpensive piece of shit that is nothing like the original. But this is basically all you got to work with, is this pile of shit right here. So most guys that are restoring their cars at home, or possibly maybe inside a shop, a professional shop or amateur shop, whatever, the first thing that would come to their mind is that we need to replace this whole panel because our bolt holes are fucked up. Well, my friend Pete's here to tell you, no, you don't. You don't have to replace the whole panel, because that is what's taking too much fucking time out of your time to say, I got a situation and I need to fix my problem. How are we going to fix it, my friend Pete? Tell us how we're going to fix it. This is how we're going to fix it. Now, if you look at that panel right there, you can see that it's in a very, very tight quarter section. You would have to remove the gearbox of the steering application. You got many, many bolts that have to be removed. And then, of course, on the top of our inner apron panel, we would have to dismantle this bitch here by cutting all the spot welds off. And then, of course, this is spot welded here. And it can go on and on forever. So instead of replacing that whole panel, what we're going to do is we are going to replace this section right here only. And we will be using our replacement panel as a patch panel. And this is a very, very, very good lesson for everybody out there that wants to save a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of expense on fixing their Mustang and doing it right. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our panel right here. The first thing we're going to do is take our panel and we're going to cut all this excess off. Now, when I cut this off, I'm going to be using my plasma cutter. Plasma cutter is an air over electricity metal type cutter that will cut this all up the way I need it to be. If you don't have a plasma cutter, you can go ahead and use your cutoff wheel, your air saw, jigsaw, whatever you got. So just kind of follow the lead here and you're going to get the idea of what's going on. Now, we're not going to cut this precise. We're going to overcut this because as we cut this down, we're going to go ahead and cut it to smaller to fit properly and perfect. So we're going to start out with a pretty big piece as we cut our piece out. Now that we got this cut out, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the car, and now we're going to start making all our measurements to cut this out precisely so we can repair the problems at hand. And before we go over there, I just want to let everybody know this is actually a good piece to keep due to the fact that if you do a lot of metal work, this has got a lot of nice little bends on it and curves and angles and what have you. And when you're doing restoration jobs, sometimes you have to make pieces. So I kind of hold on to this kind of stuff here if it's in good shape and it's got all these angles and bends and twists and stuff, because there's other vehicles that you might be working on or I'm working on that says, hey, look at that angle right there, it's rotted and rusted. Let me go get my scrap piece, see if I can find that right twist or that angle that would fit in there that I can use. So always recycle, and don't throw it away. Keep it for later usage on something else that might come your way if that happens to be. So there's really only one measurement that we need to take on this thing right here, because this should fit in there pretty good. It's got the stamped out areas that you can see right there that should fall into place. So there's really only one measurement you got to make, and the measurement that we need to make is to the center of one of these holes right here from the firewall. And the reason that is because once we cut this out, we want to make sure that this piece is back and forth properly where it should fall in. And as we lay it in here, you can see it pretty much falls in place just by putting it in there just like that. But we're not going to use all this. Once again, I just cut this out to make it a smaller version piece so I can actually start cutting and chopping to make it fit the way that I want. So you're going to take your tape measure from the firewall, and you're going to make sure that you get the proper measurement to one of the centers of these lower holes right here. And I'm going to go to this far one. It says 8 5/8. Yeah, 8 5/8. So up here what I'll do is I will mark 8 5/8 just like that to remember that. And then now once we do that, we can go ahead and actually cut this hole out right here. We're going to go ahead and cut this whole section out where all these holes are, so we can get this piece to fall in there. So with that cut out, now we can go ahead and actually fit this piece on here. And you can see that, yeah, now it lays in there pretty good right up next to it. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually cut this lip off right here. We don't want that lip, because if it's laying on top, that means that it's going to have this thickness here, and it's lifting it up higher than it should be. And we don't want that due to the fact that if you don't put this in precisely, then your hood will not bolt up properly. So we'll take our magic marker, and we're going to go ahead and just draw a line straight like this, because we're removing this completely off. And then we'll probably go ahead and remove it right here. And then I'm just looking at it. What I'm doing is I'm looking behind, looking in the front, looking behind and front. And I'm basically just making marks and notches to see where I'm at and what we're doing here. So you just saw me draw a line there. That's giving me a reference point of how big my box is where this is. And then of course we came down here, we'll mark that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and mark this right here, just like that. And then I'll mark this. Of course, we're going to cut it off right there. And let me look at that one more time. Okay, we're going to cut this one way over here, right here, straight up, nice and clean. And then once we made our marks on our piece, we'll go ahead and take our cutting wheel. This is a 4-inch electric cutting wheel, by the way, and we'll just go ahead and follow our lines that we drew on here to cut this piece out, and hopefully it will fit in there. And then what we got is a nice, even, square piece that we can go ahead and fit into the pocket that we just cut out. So we're going to take our piece just like so. We will set it in here just like this and get it lined up like we think it should be. And there's actually little dimples and stuff. Do you see what I'm saying here? Like this body imperfection here. And then there's another one right here if you look real close. And those should fall into the factory ones as close as possible. Okay, I see that I have a problem here. And what my problem is that this piece right here that is laying on top, I don't want to overlap that. I want to make that look as factory original as possible once we get done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my magic marker just like this, and then I will cut around that. See what I'm saying? So it will fit in there and look pretty. Just like that right there. So we'll go ahead and line it back up just like it would have been, and see what happens as we set it in here. And it looks like it's fitting pretty good, just like that. So the next thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and clean all our edges on the patch panel that we made, and also all the metal around this area. And then on the inside back here, we got to come in there, clean all that, and clean the backside using our hand grinder. So now that we got our piece all cleaned up, it's time to start fitting it in here where we need it. I noticed that this piece right here is a little bit warped, you might say, and we want that baby to fit in there just like it was supposed to from the factory, like I said. I also noticed that I cut too much right there, but we can fix that. That's fixable, and that's not going to be a problem by fixing that. The main thing we want to do is take our tape measure and measure the 8 5/8 like I was talking about. There it is right there. Alright, and then once we line these two nipples up, we know that's where that's going to go. So I'm going to start out by welding the top here, and what I mean by welding, I'm going to spot weld it all the way around. Now that the top's done, I can go ahead and spot weld the rest of it all around the edges. And then once I do that, I'll come back and stitch weld it all the way around, and then I'll go on the inside, repeat my process of welding it on there solid. Okay, now that we got that all welded in place, we're going to go ahead and take our grinder and we'll grind our welds down and make them nice and smooth. Now that we got the welds knocked down, we got two choices. Depending on how you're going to restore your car is going to depend on what step you take from here. This car is going to be a restoration job. It's an on-frame style restoration, but we are not making this a concourse restoration. Once we install our hood hinge onto the vehicle, you won't even know that that was replaced any way, shape, or form. So what we're going to do is we are going to save the customer money, because this lady is on a budget, and the budget has to stay in the perimeters of what her budget is. So what we will do from here, we will go ahead and paint that black and be done with it. If you want to take your car to the extreme of cleaning that up better than it is, and putting some Bondo on that, possibly some body filler, and sanding it out, and extremely making it beautiful, then you can go to that extreme right now. If the customer wanted me to do that, I would take it to that, but she's more apt to saying, let's just get it done. I want to be able to drive my car. I'm building a driver, not a trailer queen. So what we're going to do is take some nice lustrous acrylic enamel spray can paint that is going to match the paint that I've already applied. And we'll blend that down into what we already got, just like this. And then once that's done, bam, we got a nice, beautiful piece that has been replaced, and it is ready for the hood to be installed. And then if you look at the outside of the apron, which would be the inside of the fender, you can see that we went ahead and welded all the way around that area as well. Grinded it down mildly, you might say, because this will never be seen, and went ahead and painted that black to match. So the situation is that most people, 9 out of 10 guys, would probably go ahead and replace that whole inner apron due to those ugly, nasty holes from where the hinge bolts broke out and are lost. But my friend Pete just showed you how to save time, money, and expense by only replacing partial panel instead of the whole thing and being done with it. This is Pete, my friend Pete, your friend Pete. Done with our repair on both sides and ready to go ahead and move down the road with our project, our 1969 Mach 1 Fastback. Awesome car, beautiful car, extreme lot of work on this car. It's going to be a beautiful car when it leaves my friend Pete's shop, and I'm really excited to get her done and get her down the road. What we'll do next is go ahead and install the hood hinges and the hood, making sure everything lines up properly and well enough for us to go ahead and keep going on our project car. 1969 Mustang Mach 1, ready for front suspension installation. She's going to go ahead and get power steering put on this. We're going to go ahead and do that. And then, of course, I got to buy the wire harness for the engine compartment and check all the other wire harness, and that's ready as well. This is Pete again, my friend Pete, your friend Pete, DIY Auto School, showing you, telling you to do it right, take your time, and don't get nervous as you look at me watching it make it look easy, when in reality, you can do it just as easy as pie as well. We'll see you later, and I hope that helped you out in the near future of saying, wow, now I know how to save time. Instead of replacing that whole fucking thing, I'm just going to replace the part that's bad.
D.I.Y. Automotive School. Classes don't stop